When riots erupt on the streets, especially involving groups like the English Defence League, EDL, the costs to the UK government start to add up really fast. And it's not just the damage you see on TV, there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes that really strains the budget. Let's start with the police. Whenever a riot kicks off, the government has to deploy a huge number of officers to manage the situation. We're talking about thousands of additional police officers, many of whom have to work overtime. These aren't just regular shifts, it's intense, and they're often brought in from different areas, which adds to the cost. For instance, in a major disturbance, just the cost of policing can easily hit £500,000 in a single day. And if the unrest drags on for days or even a week, those numbers skyrocket. A prolonged riot could easily cost several £1,000,000 in policing alone. Then there's the issue of property damage. This is something we all see on the news. Broken windows, cars set on fire, shops looted, and public buildings defaced. Repairing all of this is incredibly expensive. The government usually has to step in to cover the costs of repairing public property, things like roads, streetlights, and government buildings. But it doesn't stop there. They often need to compensate businesses and homeowners who have had their properties damaged. This isn't just about fixing a few windows. We're talking about extensive repairs that can run into millions of pounds. And the sad part is, for many small business owners, even with compensation, they may never fully recover from the damage done. Now let's talk about the legal costs. After the dust settles, the authorities typically make a large number of arrests. Each of these cases goes through the court system, and that's another huge expense. The cost of legal proceedings isn't just about the trials themselves. It includes everything from the work of lawyers and judges to the cost of holding individuals in custody before and after the trials. If someone is found guilty and sentenced to prison, the government then has to bear the cost of incarceration, which adds up quickly. When you have hundreds or even thousands of arrests following a riot, the legal costs alone can soar into the millions. It's a long, drawn-out process that keeps draining public resources for months, if not years, after the riot itself. But the financial impact of riots goes even deeper than that. Beyond the immediate costs, riots can have long-lasting effects on the economy. Riots can seriously damage investor confidence. When businesses see unrest like this, they start to think twice about investing in those areas, and that means less economic growth in the future. Local businesses suffer too, not just from the damage, but from the loss of customers who may avoid the area because they feel it's unsafe. This can lead to job losses and reduced economic activity, which further hurts the community. And then there's tourism. Tourists don't want to visit places they perceive as dangerous, so areas that rely on tourism can see a sharp decline in visitors, which affects hotels, restaurants, and other local businesses. To give you a concrete example, let's say there was an EDL-related riot that lasted several days. The government could easily be looking at a total cost north of £10 million, and that's just from one incident. This figure includes the immediate costs of policing, repairing property, and handling legal proceedings, but it doesn't even fully account for the longer-term economic damage. The real financial impact could be much higher when you consider the loss of business, the hit to tourism, and the broader economic repercussions. When you think about the impact of these riots, it's important to remember that it's not just about the chaos on the streets. It's also about the massive financial burden it places on the government and, by extension, on the taxpayer. Every pound spent on dealing with the aftermath of a riot is a pound that can't be spent on other essential services like healthcare, education, or infrastructure. So the cost of these riots isn't just a financial one, it's a cost that impacts the entire community in ways that are often felt long after the streets have been cleared and the news cameras have gone. So, as we've seen, the true cost of riots goes far beyond the immediate chaos and destruction we witness on the streets. The financial burden on the UK government is enormous, affecting not just public funds, but also the broader economy and the communities involved. It's a heavy price to pay, one that continues to impact the nation long after the riots have ended. It's a reminder that the consequences of such events are far-reaching, touching every part of society in ways we might not always see.